improve your life and are going to improve your testosterone and make you magnetically attractive at the same time. Now, there are many, many ways which you can do this in your daily life. Here are just a few examples. In your day-to-day life, you could have the courage to speak up and say something which you want to say, which usually you hold back. Because a lot of times, especially when we're with somebody who we perceive to be like cooler than us or in a position of authority, we have things that we want to say, we want to express ourselves, but we don't say it because we're afraid to offend people. Now, again, you don't have to go around insulting people all the time, but if you have something to say, something constructive to say, you want to say it. You don't want to be afraid to offend people. You want to just openly express what you're feeling. And taking this social risk is really going to improve your testosterone. The second way which you could do it is by being more outgoing and risking rejection. Now, we all do things in our day-to-day life which aren't very smart because we're afraid to be rejected. We're afraid to like ask for a raise at our jobs because we're afraid we'll be rejected. We're afraid to talk to a girl at a bar who we don't know because we're afraid that she's going to shoot us down. But what I found is the guys who have that magnetically attractive masculine sexual presence are not afraid of doing these things. Or actually, to put it another way, they are afraid. They are just as afraid as everybody else, but they have the courage to overcome that fear and take that risk. And if you can do that, if you can take social risks like that on a regular basis, your body will naturally up your testosterone to adapt, and you'll enjoy the benefits of a magnetic sexual presence. Another way which you can really improve your testosterone is by putting yourself in situations which scare you. Now, one way which I did this was actually through overcoming my fear of public speaking. Now, it might seem kind of weird because you see me speaking publicly at seminars and all these videos, but just a few years back, I was incredibly afraid to speak in public. I remember back in college, I would always have things to say, but I would never even raise my hand in class because my heart would like start beating really fast and my palms would start sweating, I'd start stuttering, and I couldn't even like speak up in a discussion class of like 10 people because I was so afraid to speak in public. But I really put a lot of work into conquering this fear, and what I found is that, first of all, it made my life a lot better just by itself, but it also had a tremendously positive impact on my testosterone, on my sexual presence. So look at that thing that scares you the most, okay, and really conquer that fear, and that's really, really going to improve your testosterone. Now, the most important way that you can improve your testosterone is to have the courage to go after what you really want in life, even if it's risky. Now, I found that guys who are really going after their dreams, really going after their passion, are magnetically attracted to women because of this testosterone effect. Usually guys who are, who want to be a musician are actually actively working on becoming a musician, even if they're failing miserably, they usually don't have that much trouble attracting women. Now, on the other hand, there are some guys who, they really want to be a musician, but right now, they're an assistant to somebody and they don't really like their job that they have right now. But they don't really have the courage to go after what they really want in life. And this really has a negative effect on their testosterone and makes them repulsive to women. Now, I'm not saying that you have to quit your job and pack up and join a rock band. You don't have to make that drastic of a change, which is going to have some other negative consequences. But what you do have to do is start doing something small and something meaningful to get to where you really want to be in life every single day. You have to be actively working on getting where you want to be rather than just kind of drifting and, hoping you win the lottery or hoping something good happens to you. So, have the courage to go after what you really want. You don't have to take any huge steps, but do something small, just a few minutes every day to move you closer to where you actually want to be. The next way that you can improve your testosterone is dominant behavior in your relationship. Now, guys who are submissive and passive in their relationship, what happens is eventually the testosterone goes down and down and down and down and down, and you can kind of sense that they have kind of that whip vibe. And I've actually, unfortunately, seen this with some of my friends where they started off as, pretty attractive guys, but slowly they get degraded more and more by their relationship. Their testosterone went down and down until eventually they couldn't attract a girl to save their lives because of this effect. Even when they weren't with their girlfriend, even when the relationship was over, they were still at this level of testosterone. They were just not that attractive. So if you're in a situation where you might be a little bit submissive or not actively leading the relationship, you want to make sure to get out of that so you can start increasing your testosterone and having a better sex life. Now again, you don't want to be a jerk or an asshole, but you do want to start leading your relationship in an attractive masculine way. A few examples of how you can do this. One example is if you're going out to dinner. What most guys do is say where do you want to go? I don't know, where do you want? And it turns into this whole nightmare of indecisiveness where nobody really wants to lead and make a decision. So just in a small way like that, you can say, okay, tonight we're going to get Italian food, then afterwards we're going to this place, then we're going to go home. And just make the decision and lead. And she's really going to appreciate that much more than you realize because that's what she really craves. masculine, testosteronized decisiveness, and that's going to make you much more attractive to her, and it's going to make you inherently a more attractive guy because it'll improve your testosterone. Another way which you can become more dominant in your relationship is to stop doing things which you don't really want to do just for the sake of the relationship or because you're afraid that she'll leave you. Now, a lot of guys do things like stop hanging out with their friends or, spend hundreds of hours decorating their house when they really don't care that much about it, or do a lot of like feminine things which she wants to do, which they don't really want to do and they're not really into. They're just doing it because they're intimidated by her and they're afraid that she'll argue or she'll leave them or in another way hurt them. Now, if you're in a relationship and you're doing stuff like this, you want to phase that out of your relationship because it's really damaging your testosterone and making you less sexually attracted to her. Counterintuitively, because you would think that behavior like this would make you more sexually attractive because you're doing things for her, but it's actually making you less sexually attractive to her. If you really don't want to do something, then tell her, I'd rather not do that. Just be honest. Now, this isn't to say that you never want to compromise, that you never want to, that you have to be completely selfish all the time, but you want to get out of the pattern of making it all about her and consistently supplicating to her just to get sex or just to keep her happy. Alright, so the final and the biggest factor in your testosterone is going to be sex. The amount of sex and the quality of sex you're having is really going to be the biggest determining factor in your testosterone. Now, I recognize it's kind of a chicken and egg situation because if you don't have really good testosterone, you're probably not going to be having a lot of sex, so you probably have worse testosterone. And in fact, if you're in a dry spell right now, I know that can turn into a very vicious and destructive negative cycle because if you haven't had sex for a while, your testosterone goes down, you become less sexually attractive, and it really perpetuates itself, and it can be very frustrating, and it can seem almost impossible to break out of. So that's why I was originally going to give some tips in this video, but I've actually decided to devote a whole video to this. Next week's video, I'm going to show you some ways which you can break out of a dry spell, break out of that negative cycle, and start having sex within a few weeks, and really start that cycle of positive reinforcements, more testosterone, more sex, and a better sex life. Okay, so here's your homework for this week. First, you want to make some realizations. You want to realize how you can apply this knowledge to your own individual sex life. The first thing that you want to do is you want to be really honest with yourself, like I asked you to do a lot, and to write down everything which you're doing which negatively affects your testosterone. Really think about this, and again, you're not going to get anything out of this if you're not honest with yourself. Be really, really honest with yourself and look at the areas of your life which are negatively affecting your testosterone. Write those all down now. Okay, great. Now what I want you to do is to look over the list of what you wrote down and circle the area of the life which is having the biggest negative effect on your testosterone. Okay, think about that for a minute. Again, be really honest with yourself and do that now. Okay, great job. Now, for your execution part of your homework this week, what you're going to do is you're going to take this area of your life, which you circle, which is having a big negative effect on your testosterone, and you're actually going to turn this around and turn it into a positive effect. Now, you don't have to make any huge, drastic changes in your life just this week, but what I want you to do is just start. Just make a very small change, and you'll find over time that small change snowballs into a very big effect on your sex life. For example, if you never do any exercise, what you want to do is you want to get a gym membership and make a schedule for just 2 days a week for like 15 or 20 minutes where you're going to go to the gym. And it seems like just a little change, but that little change is going to have a huge effect on your sex life in the long term. If you're eating a lot of fast food, make a commitment to, you don't have to starve yourself, but eat more natural, eat more healthy foods, avoid the really, really bad stuff. If you're submissive in your relationships, which a lot of guys have a problem with, what you could do is gradually start to be more assertive and start standing up for yourself a little bit. And just concentrate on making those small lifestyle changes, and really by the end of the week, you're really going to see an improvement in your testosterone. You're going to feel better, you're going to feel more masculine, and you're going to be more naturally, magnetically sexually attractive to women. And all your sexual techniques are going to start to work better because of your increased testosterone. Okay, so that's your homework for this week. Next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you, like I said before, about some of the biggest mistakes that guys make when they're in a dry spell, which make it virtually impossible to escape from that negative cycle. And I'm going to show you a few simple yet very effective ways to break out of any dry spell within a few weeks, to start having sex, and to start that constant positive cycle of reinforcement, having great sex, and being more sexually attracted to women. That's what I'm going to show you next week. Okay, so stay tuned for next week's lesson, and I'll talk to you then.